Masquera say Zimbabwe, welcome to our channel Zoom Confessions and Deep Secrets. Kana kariki kutanga kukuya panino channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Kana chungwa gara subscribe, don't forget to comment and share this video. Nasi Zimbabwe tavigirai nyaya iri kupisa nyaya iri kunetsa. Nyaya yaburitswa nawo veteran and former intelligence supremo Blessed Geza uyabuda achitaura iye achiti maplans ekuimpeacha President Mnangagwa and they are now underway. Abuda achitaura iye achiti President Mnangagwa is no longer mentally fit for the office of the president. Ataura iye achiti the motion will soon be moved in parliament for impeachment ya Mnangagwa. Geza abuda achitaura iye achiti President Mnangagwa wachazi fit for kutonga nyika zvinzi akuratidza masigns loss of memory Zimbabwe zvinzi, and according to the constitution is exhibiting signs notaura the constitution that someone should be impeached kana zvamira zvakadaro Zimbabwe zvinomira mushe. Nyaya yaburitswa neZW News vachitaura vachiti war veteran and former intelligence supremo Blessed Geza says plans are underway for President Mnangagwa's impeachment. He says Mnangagwa is no longer mentally fit for the office of the president, adding that a motion will be soon moved in parliament for his impeachment. Geza said Mnangagwa is now exhibiting signs of loss of memory. Apparently, the reasons for impeachment, a president or his vice, are clearly laid out in Section 91AD of the Constitution. These include serious misconduct, failure to obey, uphold, or defend the Constitution, willful violation of the Constitution, and inability to perform the functions of the office because of physical or mental incapacity. On the way forward, once the president and his vice have been impeached, Section 100 of the Constitution becomes applicable under these circumstances. In terms of that section, whenever the president is unable to exercise his functions through any other cause, which can include removal from office, those functions must be assumed and exercised by the first vice president or second vice president. Ndo mabuditso raitwa nyaya iyi Zimbabwe neZW News tisingazive kuti munoiona sei nyaya iyi kutaura kwatiri kuita zvinomira mushe. According to my political analysts, abuda achitaura iye achiti this is a tactical blunder by Comrade Geza yekuda kuremova President Mnangagwa via impeachment, and it is daydreaming since it is now the end of the road for everyone who was wishing for Geza's plan to materialize. Nyaya yakabuditswa neZW achitaura vachiti war veteran and former intelligence supremo Blessed Geza just announced the plans are underway to impeach President Mnangagwa. While this appears sound and possible, critics have warned that this could be a big mistake by Geza. They say Parliament is captured by Mnangagwa via captured opposition, and therefore impeachment would not work. Commenting on Geza's announcement, political analyst Majara Jairosi said, though Mnangagwa exhibits signs of being incapable to remain president, removing him through impeachment will not work. There is no doubt that Mnangagwa is incapacitated by senility, and just like in Mugabe's last days, he is no longer fit for purpose. However, to think that impeachment will work is disingenuous. ED has full control of the opposition in parliament, and I know this for a fact. I personally believe in action. ZANU-PF understands the language of pressure. That's the only thing they understand. Anything else, forget. At present, Auxilia and their sons are running the country with support from her husband's criminal, because ED himself is now senile, he said. Former military intelligence officer Neva Masquera say concurs. Tactical blunder. This parliament route I do not agree with at all. Emerson will use this to consolidate his grip with his propaganda factory going gaga afterwards. I will therefore discharge myself for now till corrective measures have been taken. Meanwhile, an article by late lawyer and political analyst Alex Magaisa gives insights on the challenges to be expected by all veterans on their route of impeachment as a way to remove Mnangagwa. Geza was writing in reference to Mugabe, who faced impeachment ahead of his eventual resignation under pressure. The facts in the article remains true even in Mnangagwa's case. The article read, "Impeaching President Mugabe will not be quick or a simple affair. Now that ZANU-PF has resolved to commence impeachment proceedings against Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe, it is important to examine this constitutional process. There is a great sense of expectation among the people, fueled by a high level of desperation to see Mugabe's departure after 37 years in power. However, it is important to shed light on what this process entails. While it is desirable to fast-track the procedure, there are certain fundamental matters of law and principle that cannot be sidestepped. These make the procedure more complicated than has previously been suggested. Let us first examine the stages of impeachment process. First, there must be a resolution supported by a simple majority of the total membership of Parliament recommending the removal of the President on one or more grounds stated in Section 97 of the Constitution. A simple majority of the total membership of Parliament means members of National Assembly and the Senate must vote together, sitting as a joint body. The resolution must be supported by more than 50% of the combined members of the National Assembly and Senate. Second, once the first resolution has been passed, Parliament's Committee on Standing Rules and Order must appoint a joint committee of both the National Assembly and Senate consisting of 9 members. The membership of this committee must reflect the political composition of Parliament. In other words, it must have proportional representation of the parties represented. In this case, that means it must have representatives from ZANU-PF, MDCT, and other MDC formation. This committee must carry out the investigations to establish whether there is a justifiable ground for removal of the President. Third, once the committee has completed its investigations, it makes a recommendation to Parliament. If the recommendation is that the President must be removed, both the National Assembly and Senate must sit together in a joint session to vote on the motion of removal. This time, the motion of removal must be supported by at least a 2/3 majority of the total membership of MPs and senators. This high threshold reflects the gravity of removing presidents. Power to the party. Zimbabwe coup isn't a revolution, but a consolidation. Only the short-sighted would say we've been liberated. Life continues amid Zimbabwe's political limbo. Coup or not, this is the end of an era. What are the implications of all this? First, while most people would prefer that these actions to be fast-tracked, this process cannot be achieved in 24 hours or even a week, as has been suggested by some. The motion to trigger an investigation may be easy to get because it requires a simple majority, but the investigation by a committee of 9 is not a few hours or even 1 week affair. In investigation, we have to consider and protect the rights of the investigated person, in this case the President. It is important to note that this is the first time that the Zimbabwe Parliament will be carrying out this procedure. It will have to set up clear rules guided by the Constitution, the Declaration of Rights and Principles of Natural Justice. It can also learn from experiences in other jurisdictions, as experiences elsewhere demonstrate impeachment proceedings are not a simple or quick affair. In crafting these rules, Zimbabwe must be guided not by emotions or the prevailing attitude towards Mugabe, but by tried and tested principles. Whatever Parliament does now will set a precedent for the future. Second, the requirement for a committee of 9 and the process of investigation are mechanisms designed to ensure the process of removing the President is fair and in accordance with constitutional rights and principles of natural justice. This includes the right to a fair hearing, the right to be heard, the right to fair representation, and the right to defend oneself. In other words, the words of the accusers is not enough to trigger a vote of impeachment. Should the president's constitutional rights and principles of natural justice be flouted, he may well challenge the process in a court of law. If Parliament does not want to be embarrassed, it will have to adhere to recognized rules and respect the rights of the accused. He will have to be entitled to challenge evidence against him and cross-examine the witnesses. He too may have his own witnesses. If the president is alleged to be unable to perform his functions because of physical or mental incapacity, that means physical, medical, and mental tests must be carried out, and presumably by more than one expert. Tomabuditsi wakati nyai mu Zimbabwe shinza pasina omera musha, it's a tactical blunder by Geza. But Mnangagwa hawakwanze kuba na impeachment, and it is going to take a long process. Tingazingi mwenye nasi nyai tuze uza mufunga mu comment section.